You are listening to the Coins, Currency, and American History podcast, presented by Littleton Coin Company. Every great civilization leaves behind its ruins, its art, and its heroes. But the story of America can be told through something smaller, something we can hold in our hands. A coin. Coins are the fingerprints of a nation. This is the story of the United States of America. From colonies to social experiment to global economic leader. The story of the United States begins long before the first settlers landed on the shores of the New World. At the end of the 15th century, Spain and Portugal divided the New World between them. By decree of the Pope in 1494, the Treaty of Tordesillas drew an invisible line down the map. Spain would claim the west, Portugal the east. For a moment, the New World belonged to two crowns. 2 years earlier, when Christopher Columbus set out to sail west, he wasn't searching for a new world. He was searching for a shortcut to Asia. Bartholomew Diaz had rounded the Cape of Good Hope in 1488 and opened the sea route to India. Spain, watching Portugal profit from Asian trade, wanted its share. Columbus offered them a gamble. Spain took it. What he found was not Asia, but something far more disruptive. A continent overflowing with gold, silver, sugar, and land. In a few short decades, Spain turned this discovery into an empire. From the mines of Zacatecas and Potosi flowed rivers of silver that filled Spanish ships and European treasuries. The Portuguese controlled the spice trade, but the Spanish controlled the silver trade. And for the rest of Europe, England, France, and the Netherlands, there was no room left at the table. They watched as the wealth of the world sailed beneath the flags of their rivals. But ambition has no borders. By the mid-1500s, nations without colonies turned to other means. The English called it privateering, the Spanish called it piracy. Men like Sir Francis Drake set sail not to discover, but to plunder, striking Spanish treasure fleets on their way back from the Americas, stealing the riches of a new world that had already been claimed. In 1607, men carrying the charter of the Virginia Company of London landed in the New World to found Jamestown, the first permanent English colony in North America. They came not seeking liberty, but profit. The irony is that Jamestown was Britain's attempt to share in the wealth of the New World. Yet it had to do so within the Spanish, Dutch, and Portuguese trade systems already in place. The men of Jamestown carried not only British sterling, but also Spanish, Portuguese, and Dutch coins. By this time, global trade was thriving, but to participate in it meant depending on the wealth of Spain and the ingenuity of the Dutch. Europe's reach extended across the Americas, Africa, and Asia. Through this vast network, foreign coins became a trusted language of commerce. The most valuable of these was the Spanish real, known as the Piece of 8. Its design, with 8 notches for easy division, made it practical for merchants to split into smaller denominations. It became the standard of trade around the world. After Columbus reached the West Indies in 1492, Spain turned its focus to conquering South America. Major silver strikes at Potosi in modern Bolivia and Zacatecas in modern Mexico made Spain the most dominant producer of silver. Between the 1500s and 1700s, Spain mined, minted, and shipped more than 25,000 tons of silver, roughly 1/3 of the global supply. This did more than enrich Spain. It created trust in its coinage. Spanish mints developed a process of consistent weight and purity, allowing the real to circulate confidently across continents. it became the world's first truly global currency, accepted from Asia to the Americas and everywhere in between. The reliability of Spanish silver strengthened the growing global economy. Foundation for global commerce was set. Empires spanned oceans. Coins connected continents. Silver linked worlds, creating ties farther and stronger than kings or flags ever could. The United States was not yet imagined, but the seeds were planted. A universal store of value, a company unlike any before, and people willing to risk everything for a new kind of freedom. Next time, we'll explore the war history often forgets, how a fight over Spanish silver reshaped the global balance of power. Every great civilization leaves behind its ruins, its art, and its heroes. But the story of America can be told through something smaller, something we can hold in our hands. A coin. Coins are the fingerprints of a nation. They tell us what people value, what they believe, and how they see their place in the world. Over the next 52 episodes, we will trace the American experiment not through wars or presidents, but through currency. From the Spanish silver that built the colonies, to the paper money that built an empire, to the digital economies shaping our future. This is the story of the United States of America. From colonies to social experiment to global economic leader. 13 years after Jamestown, another group crossed the Atlantic, the Pilgrims. They did not come for gold or trade. They came seeking religious freedom. They believed they could build a permanent society rooted in faith and self-governance. But permanence did not mean isolation. The Pilgrims traded with local native peoples and participated in the same global economy that had shaped Jamestown. Their local trade relied on bartering wampum and beaver pelts, but foreign trade still used Dutch lion dollars and Spanish pieces of eight. Although the Pilgrims were independent of a crown, they remained tied to the world's economic system. Even those who fled the Old World could not escape its currencies. They were free, but dependent. Spain was not alone in shaping global commerce. In 1602, the Dutch established the Verenigde Oostindische Compagnie, the Dutch East India Company, or VOC. It was the first publicly traded company in history. Ordinary citizens could buy shares and earn profits from overseas trade. The VOC moved faster than monarchies. It operated with efficiency and born of a single goal: profit. But the real innovation wasn't the profit. It was how the profit was distributed. For the first time, wealth from distant trade belonged not just to kings and merchants, but to anyone who held a share. The Leeuwendalder became more than a coin. It became a symbol of collective enterprise, of value created by a company's success. Where Spanish silver carried worth through trust in its quality, the Dutch Leeuwendalder carried worth through trust in enterprise. So much, in fact, that the term dollar itself would later evolve from this coin. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Coins, Currency, and American History podcast presented by Littleton Coin Company. You can find out more about coins and currency in our free Learn Center at www.littletoncoin.com/learn. It's filled with fascinating facts about U.S. coins, world coins, ancient coins, paper money, and more, as well as helpful tips for collectors of all levels. You'll even find free collector guides, checklists, and virtual albums to help you get started and keep track of your growing collection. And while you're there, be sure to check out our online store. Visit www.littletoncoin.com today.